Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Use my melody. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhujak Acharya Ashtatara Satta Shri Shriman Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Iskcon's BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopina Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Maya Pranavadvip Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Devi ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagna ki jai. By Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila. Shiramani, in my room, there's my gray sweater, my gray jacket, and the red notebook on my desk. The gray one, yeah. Thank everyone for coming here this evening. Is there anyone here for the first time? Please raise your hand. Well, thank you. How did you find out?
I just moved here.
You just moved to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
From where?
India.
Mumbai. What do you think of Hong Kong so far?
Yeah, it's good.
It's good? Did you get the red notebook also? There's a red notebook.
On your desk?
Yeah, it should be on my desk. I probably won't use it, but let's see what happens. I've spoke to this group many times. What would you like to speak? What would you like to speak about tonight, or hear about tonight, and also help me in the dissertation? We'll call on each other. Anybody have a choice? What you'd like to hear?
Today's topic was wisdom from the
Wisdom from the ancient sages. Well, this is a very good. That's a good start. The idea that we present here at the temple, which is one of the fundamental aspects of our teachings, is that we're not this material body. Is it okay? What's wrong? Cold. Oh, yeah, I'm cold too. We need an air conditioner engineer in here. Next time, bring your jacket. So, going back to that point, very, very fundamental understanding that we get from the ancient scriptures of India. The first point, Dehinos vinyata dehe, komaram yovanam jara, tatan deha trapaptir, diras tata namuyati. Raise your hand if you know that first. Okay, that's good. That means I can give the translation. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The sober person is not bewildered by such change. This basically lets us understand that this body is simply a vehicle, and the soul is a driver. So we have a car and a driver. Raise your hand if you know which is the most important, the car or the driver. Yes? For the glasses? Driver. So what's more important? This body we're driving or the soul within? Okay. So what are the needs of the soul? Just like the body needs water, air, food, so many different things. But when we consider ourselves not to be the body, but to be the soul inside, what would you do to satisfy that soul? Raise your hand.
Connection of God.
So, thank you.
Connection.
Connection to God. You'd like to reestablish your connection with God. Wonderful. That is the answer. Reestablish our eternal relationship with the Supreme Being. So how is that done? How do we reestablish ourself, the soul, with the Supreme Being? What's the process? Does anybody know? I mean, there are many processes, but can anybody give me one or two?
Chanting.
Hmm?
Chanting.
In this Kali Yuga, chanting is a...
Chanting Hare Krishna. That's one. Another one? Yes, please.
Jnana Yoga.
Jnana Yoga. Okay.
Shastra.
Sorry?
Reading books. and-
Shastra, reading Shastra. Very good. The process we follow is called Bhakti Yoga. It's described in Bhagavad Gita, in Prabhupada's commentaries, that yoga is like a ladder. And when you go up the ladder, finally you come to the point, Hatha Yoga, this one, that one, this one, and finally you come up to Bhakti. And when Bhakti is introduced, there's something special that happens. The awakening of the heart in our relationship with the Supreme Being. That comes from this process of Bhakti. So why we chant Hare Krishna? We're the one that said chant Hare Krishna. What is it? Why?
That helps to reestablish the connection with God.
It does, yeah. There are three things. Why, how, and what. Which one's the most important? Why, how, or what?
Why? How?
Why, how, or what?
All
First is why. Because how is just what we're doing, our activities. And what is just the activities. Like how, it's like the strategy. How do we do this? And what is the activity that we're doing? But why is why? Why are we doing these activities? Why are we choosing to come here to the temple tonight rather than going over to where I walk for Japa over there? What's it called? It used to be called Avenue of the Stars or something. Is it still that? I don't see any stars down there anymore.
All stars are here.
Thank you. That's true. 100% true. So we have we want to establish a final goal, and there's a story that goes with that. Would you like to hear a story?
Yes.
Stories are always the easiest way to learn. There was a businessman, very, very successful businessman, that went to the Caribbean islands. You're going to hear a lot of tonight. That's just what it is. I can't stop it. I've been to a dozen doctors. It's still. Well, he went to the Caribbean and he needed to cross a river. So what is the best way to cross a river besides your bridge? Raise your hand if you know. Yes?
Boat.
Boat? Yeah, very good reason. So he goes to the river and he sees the boatman in the Caribbean laying in the hammock. Those beachside things that you just lay in and under the palm trees. Hopefully the coconut doesn't fall on your head. Right? So the businessman goes to him and says, "Hey, boatman, I need to get across the river." But the boatman just kind of, "Oh, okay. And he kind of rolls out of his hammock. And he said, "Okay, I'll take it to the other side." So as they're entering the boat, the businessman says, "Why don't you get another boat? Get a second boat. And if you do that, then you can hire somebody to use that boat to make more money. And if you have two boats, you'll make 15% more money if you have two." So the boatman said, "And then what?" So then he said, "We'll get two more, and you can hire three people, and then you'll have 30% more income." And so the boatman says, "And then what?" You know where I'm going? Raise your hand. He's not going to fall out of the boat. It's not that one. So the businessman says, "If you get 8 or 10, then you can start a company." The boatman says, "And then what?" So then businessman says, "Then you can start many, many branches here and there, everywhere. And you can start a multinational company." And the boatman goes, "And then what?" And the businessman said, "You'll have boats everywhere, all around the world, and you'll become famous and very, very rich." I think it goes up to 50% profit. And the boatman says, "And then what?" And he says, "You can just travel the world, and you can have so many boats everywhere. Everyone will know you." And the boatman says, "And then what?" And the businessman says, "You can retire and come to the Caribbean and relax under the palm trees in a hammock." So why go through so much work just to get to the point where he already was? And this is the point that we like to stress once in a while. Because there are many, many things that the world tells us we need. There's so many things that the world tells us we need. But how much do we really need? Yesterday I took the walk in the evening at the Harbor Walk. And it was Saturday evening, so there was a lot of people there. And I was just thinking, there's a word that I learned in the Hare Krishna movement, phantasmagoria. Anybody heard this word before? Phantasmagoria? It's kind of like flowers in the sky are the eggs of a horse. They don't exist. It's just some kind of flowery thing. And so this phantasma, this phantasmagoria induces us to kind of chase these material ghosts that disappear they disappear when we are trying to get the pleasure that we're trying to get out of it. Ghost, man, you can't catch it. We actually have a need to be very, very curious in this world. I was listening to something the other day. I think I have it here. Oh, there's some paradoxes. There was a cat that was at a 30-story building, and he fell out of the building, but he didn't die. How? He fell out of the ground floor. Understand? What we're trying to do, see, that's just like these paradoxes. There's so many of them that we can come up with. But what they are, that we live in the paradox, that we need to make a decision on how to think differently than we've been thinking all along, by the modes of material nature pushing us and pushing us and pushing us and demanding that we act in a certain way because we have to be accepted in society. We have to be this, that, and the other thing. There's so many things. But when we investigate, we have to see what value they have. What are the value of these things? I'm talking to myself because I have a lot of desires. I can't. What happens? There's a story here. Sorry for my delay here. Okay. What happens in 1 minute? And what happens in 1 hour? Anything can happen within a minute. You can go here, you can go there, and in an hour, you can even go further. But what happens in 1 second? This is the paradox. When you have a minute, you can think of so many things. When you have an hour, you can think of even more things. But if you have a second, what can you think of? You can only think of you. And that's the point we want to focus on. Second by second by second, moment by moment by moment, having a plan for our lives which is going to benefit us more than anything that this material energy can offer. My computer was broke. I mean, I was getting these pop-up things ever since I got to Hong Kong. And they were trying to sell me suitcases at a Black Friday. They have, I don't know, they have Black Friday in Hong Kong too. They have Black Friday. And so it's an enticement, 50% off Black Friday. Now I have a friend. His name is Brahmatirtha. Has anybody in this room read the book Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers? Yeah, that's Bob Cohen, Brahmatirtha. So he's from New Jersey, and he had an uncle that had a men's clothing store. And his uncle would have a Black Friday sale, which comes after Thanksgiving. So the sale was 50% off. And so what he would do is he hired his nephew to go to the shop and change the prices double what they were the day before, so that the next day they're 50% off, and he still makes the same amount of money. It's going to need to be filled. Yeah, thank you. So how do we stay focused? I mean, material energy is ruthless. Anybody ever experienced that? I mean, it's just unkind. It's not very kind. It's not very generous. The mind's demands, vacho vegam manasa koda vegam jiva vegam uttara pasta vegam. The urge to speak, the demands of the mind, right? Just like so many things, if we put it in the proper perspective, when the idea comes, why should I do it? I should send Cyril Mani in to get my phone, because my phone, when you pick up your phone, it has like a screen. And my phone, when you pick it up, it says, really? It's like I made it with a magic marker. It's black and white on a piece of paper. And I said, really? Question mark. And then I put why. You're really going to pick up your phone? You have to give me a reason why. Is this connecting to my ultimate goal, my ultimate purpose, or is this something to just take me out the other way and give me misery? Yehi samsparshaja boga dukkha yona evate. That those who are little intelligent, they don't engage the senses in the sense objects because they see them as a place of misery. Now, say for example, car. We're going to get a car. That's an object of the senses. And I bought new cars many times in my life. And it's hard to see that as a source of misery. How is that a source of misery? Or over here, sometimes Damodar Chan and I go to gelatos. Or he is it gelato? What is that ice cream called? Gelato. Yeah. He'll have it come to his office. Shri Shri Gaurani Chai Ki. What was I talking about that I brought up gelato? Oh, car. Yeah. So, or you have ice cream, and you have it, when you go there, there's probably 50 different flavors. I don't know. And so, you pick one because you think you'll enjoy that. But by picking that, it's a source of misery. How? Why? Why is it a source of misery? Anybody know? Yes, please.
Because it entangles you more and more for more.
It entangles you more and more because what you do, if you enjoy it, one time, like about 30 some years ago, one of my friends, another one of the Swami Friends Club, and he was giving a class, and he says, if you go to a movie and you enjoy it, it's bad. But if you go to a movie and you don't like it, it's good. Because if you don't like it, you're going to understand this material world isn't worth it. It's not worth $5 or $10, whatever it costs to go to the movie theater, because all I do is get disappointed. So we just, in this process of Krishna consciousness, we just invite everyone to just be a little more thoughtful. Just a little more thoughtful. How many times a day do we have to make decisions? I mean, how many? It's got to be millions. To do this, to do that, this, that, the other thing. There's so many things that are required, and so many other things. So, what is our decision-making process? What will be our decision-making process if we want to reach our ultimate goal? Because we're not the car, we're the driver in the car. The car doesn't have any value if the driver's not there. What is the reason? Why? Please.
First to analyze why, how, and what.
Why, how, and what? Yeah. What was my question, though? Remember?
Which one is important? Why, how, and what?
Yeah. What's important? What's the most important point? Why, how, and what? The real point is why. We'd always know how, and we'll know what it is. But the hidden one is why. Because we misidentify ourselves with this material body, we think that we can enjoy in this material world, and it has been pressed into our brain or our mind for who knows how many births. Who knows how many births? I was just watching a lecture given by somebody that was talking about reincarnation. Devotee, talking about reincarnation. And it was saying that, of course, you all are more or less devotees, and you grow up in a society where you understand We're not this body, and the soul is inside, and we're going to go someplace after this body is done. But in the rest of the world, very few people have that understanding. They don't understand what happens at the time of death. We know yam yam vapi smaram babam chajat yante kalevam, whatever we're thinking of at the time of death, to that state will attain without fail. Krishna says. But how do we keep everything connected? We want to keep ourselves connected. And the process is simple. If we want to make it simple, we can complicate it. And one of the things I've noticed, well, I was going to say as I'm aging, but I've been aging since the moment I was in the womb. I heard Prabhupada give a class one time. If this is heavy, sannyasis are supposed to be heavy. I'm kind of soft. If you have a child and it's 6 months old, Prabhupada said it is 6 months dead. It's hard to fit it. Yeah. We don't see that. Just like we try to avoid that topic of death. We want to avoid it. Why? Because we have fear, because we don't know what it is. I mean, if we have transcendental knowledge, just like the discussion was, what was it? Wisdom messages, or what was it?
Wisdom from the Vedic.
Yeah, wisdom from the Vedic text. We have this. We're the most fortunate people in the world. One of our close friends, he was given a class in Gainesville, Florida University. And he said, sometimes people are looking for fortune. They want to have like a big fortune. But they never get fortune. Because to get fortune, you have to have Krishna. Because fortune follows Krishna. End of the Gita. Sanjaya says, there'll be goodness, there'll be wealth, there'll be this, there'll be that. Does anybody here want to tell me what their goal in life is? Raise your hand. What is your purpose? May I ask? Any of you? Don't be shy. Everybody here is friends. You're not going to make... It's good to be vulnerable. It's healthy. It's very, very healthy to be vulnerable. We never want to be vulnerable because we're afraid of making mistakes, and what will they think? Who cares what they think? Just like Srila Prabhupada was talking, he gives a class. It's even in his books also. He said, if we have these material desires and we want to fulfill those material desires to satisfy ourselves in society, what is the value of that? What is the value of being, except for spiritual side, what is the value of being accepted or wanted in society who are just a bunch of cats and dogs? They're just cats and dogs. Who cares? We don't care. We keep ourselves comfortable to perform devotional service. One man or one person, we can't be gender specific anymore, we have to be gender neutral. One person's needs are different than another person's needs on the physical level. I remember one time Prabhupada was giving a talk, and he was saying that for a very rich man, it's very difficult for them to be in austere conditions because they're used to luxury. But you can use luxury in the service of Krishna by bringing those other people who are attached to luxury and see luxury and bring them over, show them the luxury, and then tell them, what is the use? And then what? And then what? Like the boatman, and then what? You can come to the Caribbean and retire. He's already retired in the Caribbean. Any questions? Thoughts? Takeaways? I guess everybody agrees with me. I did that at, what was the name of that college? There was a private college in a suburb of Orlando called Winter Park. And the professor of philosophy and religion was there. And I did an introductory course on the Hare Krishna movement. He was telling me follow forward principles, Bhagavad Gita, this, that, and the other thing. And at the end, I asked, does anybody have any questions? Nobody raised their hand. But it was a Monday morning class at 8 o'clock, so I'm sure they were a little tired. So then I said, I had a brahmachari with me, and I said, well, if nobody has a question, that means everybody agrees. And if you agree with me, then you have to do what I do. Because I actually told them, if you can show, look, I shave my head. I follow 4 regular principles. No illicit sex, no gambling, no meeting, and no intoxication. I'm committed to what I want to do. If you can show me something that's going to give me more happiness and more pleasure than what I'm doing right now, I'm in. You just have to show me what it is. And they couldn't do it. So then I said, then you have to do what I do. So I told the Brahmish, I said, get out the clippers, we'll shave everybody's head. Then the hands went up. Do I have to shave my head? I said, no, you don't have to shave your head. You have to shave your heart. The Rtadhvaja Maharaj's mantra, you have to shave the heart. Cleanse the heart. He doesn't do it in a growling voice. He does it in a more compassionate voice. The heart has to be cleaned. Actually, one person in there was almost a devotee, and then after the semester, he went back to Europe, and he went to the temple and became a devotee. He was already a devotee. He just needed to be pushed over the edge. So if people could show us something more valuable than what we have, we're willing to do it. But I've yet to see somebody or meet somebody or experiencing something on my own that is better than what we're doing here. I always tell a joke, not a joke, but something like humor. My mother would always tell me, when you get old, they're going to throw you out in the street. You're going to just be alone on the street. You're going to be homeless. And this. One good thing about her thinking that way, they kept me in the will. So I got a little funds to live my life until the end. But I told her, I said, I was a son Yasi since 85. So my mother passed away in about 2000. And I tell her, they're going to throw me in the street. I said, people come to my door. Marge, can I have your laundry? Margie, can I clean your room? I said, this is what I joined. We joined something that has true value. Exceptional value. Better than a Black Friday 50% off on the men's clothes. Thoughts and reflections? Questions, thoughts and reflections? Please. Nice to see you. I heard in the rumor that you were here in town. And that Parth was with you. Oh, Parth. Jeez, you grew up. Changing body. Nice to see you. I think you may have been in high school just going to college when I visited you last. Then you went to college. I think you went to NYU or something like that. Yeah. Your dad sent me a picture of you by a runway by a plane, and you said you got your pilot license or something. Yeah, okay. How's that working for you? Giving you a lot of pleasure? Making it the goal of your life to get in that airplane there? Sorry, I shouldn't pick. My apologies. Please.
And when you ask the question that what is the purpose of life or what is the goal of life, and the this is the ultimate goal, and we are just at the beginning. We just stepped into Krishna consciousness. How do we build ourselves? What should be those short-term goals that help us to reach that ultimate goal?
Yeah, very good question. Very good question, very thoughtful. There's a verse. Evam Sangmudo Gyanati Purushottamam 24. Oh, Samnischayena Yuktavyo Yoga Nirvanichetasaha Sankalpa Prabhavan Karmas. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith. That determination and faith comes from association. When we see somebody practicing Krishna consciousness, it will give us faith. And we're like, everything is faith-based when you come down to it. Everybody has faith. You can't say you don't have faith. I'm sitting on this chair thinking it's not going to collapse because I have faith that the chair is, not broken, like the one in my room. Did you catch that? So everything is faith-based, but our faith is increased by the association we have. And therefore, in the Sri Ishopanishad, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we have started our International Society for Krishna Consciousness so that people who are like-minded can find solace in this world, just as the businessmen have better business bureau. And then Prabhupada, on a lecture one time, he was saying the same types of things. There's this kind of that kind of association. And he said there's even a diabetes association for all the people who have diabetes. And some guy some person figured it out that if I make a magazine about diabetes and get all kinds of crazy articles in there, I can make a lot of money. So all the diabetic people are buying that diabetic magazine because they want to get free of that. So step by step. And so it says here, and not be deviated from the path. What that means for us is that we practice the principles of Krishna consciousness to the best of our abilities. To the best of our abilities. It's an when we say the regulated principles of Krishna consciousness, I've changed that. The instructions of Krishna consciousness that will help us, that will benefit us. If you say restricted, no, I don't want to be restricted, I want to be restricted. But if you want to be enlightened, you want to get some instructions. Just like if you want to learn to drive, you have to have a driving instructor. I won't tell you about our driving instructor when I was in the 8th grade, Mr. Roth. And so we just need instruction. We need that. And so it says here, not be deviated from the path by determination and faith. If you look up on YouTube, Vaisheshika Prabhu, ISV, he did a seminar on determination at the Govardhan Eco Village in India that is very, very good. Very, very good to understand he even gave like a preface to the book on determination. And then I think he had 10 or 12 points that he brought up. It was really, refreshing. It was just enlightening. He's such a great soul. So that the type of determination and that type of faith is necessary. And this is the hard part. One should abandon without exceptions all material desires born of mental speculation. What is that verse in the 2nd chapter? I know this verse. When Arjuna asked Krishna, he says, what are the symptoms of somebody who has attained this position of, you know, not needing things. How does he sit? How does he walk? Yeah. Dita Prakash Eka Krishna Loka. No, that's the 13th chapter. Anyway, I'll remember it soon. But anyway, this mental speculation, Managatim, the chariot of the mind, Managatim, the chariot of the mind, it has to be controlled. It's like, I mean, you're a mother. You had children. You had to put, you know, borders, instructions, how to live, how to do. I mean, everybody has a guru from day one. First guru is mother. First guru is mother. Then when you become a little older, it goes beyond your mother. Maybe it'll be somebody else in the family. You become aware that there's something more than just me getting my prasadam from my mom. And so then I just want to go to the next verse. I was in the 6th chapter. Look at that, right to the point. Oh, and this point, I'm giving you a kind of a long answer, but I hope it's okay. Is it working? Yeah. I want it to work. I don't just sit up here and listen to myself. I want something to come out. They say that a fool will say anything because he has to talk. But a wise man speaks because he has something to say. A fool will just speak randomly. But a wise person will speak because he has something to say. I'll just go to the next verse, which is the one I wanted to introduce you to. Shanai Shanai. Apara made. Budya Drita Grihatiya. Gradually, step by step. Gradually, step by step. I have some notes here. Step by step. We can become situated in our original positions, which our goal is, but we can practice acting on our original position even in this current body that we have. That facility is there. Yet karoshi jetas nasi jet dahosi dadadi. Whatever we eat, whatever we give away, whatever austerities we perform, all these things should be done as an act of love for Krishna. But how do we get that love? That'll be another question later on. So Shanai Shanai, gradually, step by step. One should become situated by means of intelligence sustained by conviction. We have a conviction. We have to have I'm convinced, and we make a conviction that I'm going to practice this process. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. That's a further advanced statement. Shanai, Shanai, step by step. And we get that by the point that I was bringing up in the class. Why? Ask why. Always have the why question. Because it's not allowed in school. But it's allowed in the Hare Krishna movement. There was a beautiful young girl here today. Every day she's been here for several days. And parents were taking prasadam in the yoga room. And, you know, I don't know, she's that big. I don't know how old is it. She can talk and she can walk, so whatever age that is. And she, first she didn't want to have what they had, but that was a different story. But then she started talking, Baba, why? Baba, why? All these different things. Why? I'm going to go to the temple. Why are you going to the temple, Baba? And just why? But we lose that when we come to a certain point where we think that we actually know what to do, and we are the knowers, and we are the controllers, and we are the enjoyers, and then we stop acting why. Why is a very, very important story, a very, very important aspect. The slower we go, the faster we get to the destination. The faster we go, we get caught up in the passions of life. And passion just, it's like the rabbit and the hare. No, what is it? The rabbit and the tortoise or something like that? The old story. the rabbit and the tortoise, they were having a race, and the rabbit was just so hyper and just so in the mode of passion. And the turtle's just like, dude, I'm just going to walk. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to chant japa. And so he wins. So if we can just, if it's possible to just slow down. I think what I'm going to do in the next 3 Wednesdays is just talk about the modes of material nature. Because the mode of goodness, I mean, there's so many verses. I mean, so many places in the Gita. I'll just go through before Wednesday. I mean, every chapter has something about the modes of nature. And if we can learn what the mode of goodness is, what is the mode of goodness in the mind? What is the mode of goodness in our speech? What is the mode of goodness in our actions? All these different things. If we can learn to adopt these things in our life is going to become very peaceful. But if we act in the mode of passion, it's going to be, what is the first thing? Misery or distress. Because it doesn't work. And the mode of ignorance doesn't fly. Doesn't even get off the floor. Right? There's a person, you ever heard of Edison? What was it? A guy that made the light bulb? Thomas Edison? Thomas Edison? Was his name Thomas Edison? Everybody told him, you're a failure, a failure. And he finally got the light bulb. And they told him, we tried 1,000 times to get this and failed. He said, no, I didn't fail. Every time that it didn't work, I learned that this doesn't work. And we can apply that to our spiritual life. I'm trying to get this advancement, but doing this, it doesn't work. But if I do that, it does work. And we may have to go through 1,000 failures to get to the point where we have an opportunity to just be. There's a preacher in California. He started in his garage. Now he has one of those mega churches, and he's a real deal so far. And he says, I pray for a moment of clarity. One moment of clarity. If I can get one moment of clarity in a day, I consider my day a success. Just to get rid of the chatter of the brain. It's just like, it's too much. There was one sannyasi, he gave the example that the mode of goodness is like the launching pad for the spaceship. The spaceship is going back to God, and the launching pad is just that mechanism that's made to help that effort. You can make it. It's like already done in one sense. It's already done in one sense. Is that okay? Any other thoughts? Question? I know they usually chant 10 minutes of japa at 20 after 7, but I kind of spaced it out a little. Not spaced it out, but I was told that if I got a question, I could go a little longer. You want to do that japa now with, or you want to?
We can do the japa.
Anyway, thank you. It was so nice to see everybody again after such a long time. I was here in April. I'm going to Vrindavan on the 14th of December. We have a youth TSI, the Sangha Initiative, youth that are 18 to 30, and we get together and we're going to go to Govardhan Retreat Center. We're going to go sit next to Govardhan. We're going to just have alone with Krishna. No phones, nothing. You can have a pen and a piece of paper, alone with Krishna. And then we usually do that for like 10, 11 days, but this year we're going to do just 3 or 4, and then we're going to Mayapur because the TSI youth have already been to the Govardhan Retreat Center 2 or 3 times, but now we got to do something more. So we're going to go to Mayapur, and we're going to see the Panchatattva, Radha Madhava, Astika Gopis, Lord Chaitanya's birthplace, and my favorite place. You know what my favorite place is? Bhakti Vinod's house across the Jalangi. It is so nice there. So thank you all for listening. As you know, I cough. I don't chant my rounds out loud anymore. Because if I chant, and so so if I'm the leader of the chanting, you won't hear me. So please, thank you for coming, and thank you for your kind attention. And I pray that Srila Prabhupada and disciplic succession, and Shri Shri Gauranitai and Radhe Shyam make her journey back to Sri Vrindavan Dham and Sri Vrindavan Dham without any impediments. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.